What's up, guys? Pat here, back with another hip arthroscopy recap video. Today, as I stand here, I am 2 weeks post-operation, and today I wanted to recap my week 1 and week 2 recovery post-surgery, just as a refresher for those new tuning in. I had a torn labrum in my right hip with femoral acetabular impingement. So in this video, I'm going to kind of give you guys an update on where I'm at in the recovery process, how I'm feeling. Then I'm going to go into my daily routine to talk about the steps I'm taking to enhance my recovery. And then finally, I'll be talking about some recommendations and tips that I've picked up over the past 2 weeks. Post-surgery, the worst days were by far day 2 and day 3. Day 1, you're getting out of the hospital, you go home, you're still kind of on a lot of medication at that point that they've administered to you, but days 2 and 3, those really wear off, so just be prepared that those are going to be the 2 toughest days, and I definitely felt down on those days. But what I would encourage anyone who is thinking about having this surgery or about to have this surgery, just think big picture. You got to get those first couple days out of the way, and then everything is really uphill from. During the first 2 weeks, I have a 20% weight bearing restriction, so as you can see, I'm on crutches. I also have range of motion restrictions as well on my leg, which we'll talk about later in the video. In terms of medication, I was prescribed pain pills, which I needed for the first couple days, but have transitioned off of, which is really good. I really want to get off of those as quickly as possible. I was also put on naproxen, which is an anti-inflammatory, and a few other minor things to enhance the recovery. As I stand here 2 weeks later, I feel a lot better than I thought I would coming into this. I think that, like I said, the first couple days after the surgery were pretty tough. The first week in general is pretty tough. Around days 8 through 10, the swelling really started to come down, which was a result of a lot of the icing routines that I've been doing. And I would say by day 11 or 12, I really feel the best that I have since the surgery. Meaning I don't really have a ton of pain in a resting state, whether that's standing still, laying on the couch, sitting in the recliner, not in any pain. It's really when I try to push the range of motion on my right leg. It's not an intense pain, but I would describe it as just a lot of stiffness in that area. I still have my stitches in, which I'll be going in the next couple days to get out, and I have my 2-week post-op with my surgeon on Monday. Today's Thursday, so really excited to meet with him and go over my progress and kind of come up with a game plan for the next couple of weeks. What I would say is that the first 2 weeks are pretty boring in terms of from a day-to-day basis. You need some stuff to preoccupy yourself. I would recommend compiling a reading list, which is what I did. I've put down about 4.5 books already, whether it's movies you've always wanted to watch. There's a hobby that you feel like you've just never had time for, I highly recommend having some options as to what's going to preoccupy your time, because a lot of this is sitting around with limited motion over the first 2 weeks. For me, as somebody who's an extremely active guy, this is definitely frustrating. I think once I started feeling better, my initial inclination was I want to get moving as soon as possible, but based on the doctor's orders, really what you're trying to do is to keep as much weight off of the joint as possible in those first couple weeks to allow your body to repair the area which was impacted by the surgery. You don't want to screw anything up in the first couple weeks or undo anything that was done during your surgical process. I started physical therapy on the 6th day post-operation. My surgeon recommended 5 to 7 days after operation. So like I said, those first couple days were really just rest and recovery. I started going to my PT on the 6th day, which is nice, as I kind of look forward to it, as it's an opportunity to get out of the house. Basically, the stuff that you're doing in the beginning of your PT routine is very, very basic, just to keep the surrounding muscles such as the quads, the glutes, the hamstring, the calves, keep those engaged so that your leg is not becoming weaker and weaker. And you want to do that in a way that's putting little to no pressure on the hip itself. So a lot of very, very focused and targeted exercises that are focused on targeting certain muscle groups without a lot of compound movement. I want to talk about what I'm doing on a daily basis. So I'm going to dive into that here, which involves the CPM machine and the Game Ready Ice machine, which were both equipment rentals recommended by my surgeon, highly recommended, and I'll put my own name on that endorsement. I can't stress this enough. You need to get these two machines to assist in your recovery in the first couple weeks. So here's a couple clips of me utilizing those machines. This is the Game Ready Ice machine. I'm on this 6 hours a day, 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off. There's a compartment on here where you enter the ice and some cold water, and that runs through a hose into the suit that you'll see on me in just a second, and ices the area. 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off, 6 hours a day. There you see me, very happy to have that on. I guarantee you this is the most riveting content you'll see all day. I'm just kidding. This is the Continuous Passive Motion Machine, CPM for short. The CPM keeps your leg moving within the range of motion that is predetermined by your doctor 4 hours a day between 0 and 90 degrees, as you see right here. As you can see with all those hours, my day is very structured. I'm on this for 4 hours a day, 6 hours on the ice machine, and then the at-home PT as well. So that's really what I've been up to for these first couple weeks. Nothing really too exciting. Hope to be able to start recording a little bit more, potentially at physical therapy if that's possible, as I start to advance, hopefully over in the next couple weeks. And now just a couple of other tips that I came up with if you're intending to have this surgery. Number one, you definitely need somebody with you pretty much all hours of the day for at least the first 7 days. You're extremely limited in your mobility, and when you are moving around, you're on crutches, so you can't carry anything. So you need somebody to cook for you, you need somebody to clean up after you, you need somebody to help you with basic tasks such as even just putting on shorts for the day, tying your shoes, basic things like that you're not going to be able to do. So I highly recommend that someone either stays with you, or if you have a spouse or caregiver, that they are able to free up their schedule, whether that's through time off or whatever the case may be, to support you in that first week, because that's really critical. 2, try to move around as much as possible. You inherently are going to be in a lot of pain, but in talking to my PT and my surgeon, they both agreed that even though your mobility in terms of range of motion and weight bearing is very limited, you still really want to maximize the amount of moving around. I did this by simply crutching around my apartment. I had a small route from my bedroom through my kitchen that when I was starting to feel stiff or sitting for a prolonged period of time, I would get up and just move around. And that's really highly encouraged, because as long as you're adhering to the weight bearing restrictions and range of motion and mobility restrictions, you don't want to tense up and get too tight on the lower half of your body. So the more that you're moving around, the better. You don't want to get super stiff and not move at all, and then have to really re-engage those muscles from zero. You want to continue to move as much as possible within the restrictions to allow yourself to continue to engage those muscles on the lower half of your body, without obviously going into pain, but that will really support you feeling better faster and not getting super tight and stiff down there. Next thing would be rides. So I had my procedure done on the right side. I'm assuming even if it's done on the left side in the first couple weeks, they still probably don't want you driving. So be very strategic in your planning. This kind of goes back to my first point on you need somebody with you for the first week, but you also need to really schedule your PT appointments around somebody else's schedule, or you could rely on Uber, but you will need rides to physical therapy. You won't be able to drive. Next point is related to your diet. Your labrum is a tissue. When you go to the gym and you work out your arm muscles, you're actually tearing muscle fibers and then repairing it through protein synthesis to then grow back bigger. Same concept applies to the labrum as it is a tissue. When it's damaged and your body's repairing it, it needs protein, and you want to get as much protein in your diet as possible to support the recovery. I myself already eat a relatively high protein diet, so this was not much of a transition for myself. But if you are somebody who does not get a lot of protein in your diet, you need to start thinking about ways to get more in your diet to support recovery. My final recommendation, a recliner chair. This was not even on my radar before having the surgery, and after day one trying to sit down on the couch and it being too low, I was really restricted to my bed. Luckily, somebody in my family had an extra recliner that they weren't using. They were able to drop that off, and it has really made the world's difference because it allows me to go sit in another room, get a little bit of a change of scenery, and not be uncomfortable. That wraps up our video today. Really appreciate everybody tuning in. As always, leave a comment down below if you have any questions on anything. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button for more videos. Next, I'm going to be putting together a video on things that I purchased that really supported my recovery and helped my lifestyle over the first couple weeks post-surgery. So that will be upcoming in the next couple weeks, along with some videos on my recovery from weeks 2 through 4, advancing with physical therapy, a recap on my doctor's appointment, and post 2-week operation update with my surgeon, which I'm really looking forward to in a couple of days. So thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great day.